Let me call to order this special meeting of the West Palm Beach City Commission. Today is Monday, September 9th, and the time is exactly 5:01 p.m. All right. Item 3.1, public hearing of resolution number 207-24F, adopting the tentative fiscal year 2024-2025 operating and debt service millage rates, and resolution number 28-24F, adopting the tentative fiscal year 2024-2025 operating budget. Ms. Souffrant.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. Excuse me. Bridget Souffrant, Chief Financial Officer. Thank you for the opportunity to present to you the first public hearing to adopt the tentative fiscal year 2025 budget and millage rate. Leading up to this evening, we held two Mayor Commission budget work sessions on July 29th and August 26th. We held two community budget meetings on July 31st, one in person and one via Zoom. And we had the special commission meeting setting the not to exceed millage rate on July 18th. Tonight, we are going to review the tentative fiscal year 2025 general fund operating budget. We will also review the other non-general fund tentative budgets and discuss the tentative millage rate. Florida Statute 166.241 governs the budget process for municipalities, detailing how we must create and adopt the budget annually. At a summary glance, the fiscal year 2025 tentative general fund operating budget is balanced at $264,019,397. This is an 8.7% increase, or $21.1 million more than fiscal year 2024. This budget includes a tentative millage rate that remained flat at 8.1308. And the overall citywide balance budget, excluding CRA and ECR, is $770,233,067. As we continue our review and discussion surrounding the fiscal year 2025 budget, we want to make sure to focus your attention on the city's strategic plan. In this strategic plan, you, the mayor, and city commission designated the 8 strategic pillars that set the foundation for future budgeting and resource allocation. You see the pillars listed here on the slide. One piece of the annual budget process is ensuring that the strategic objectives are carried out with appropriate funding. In order to illustrate this, we have prepared a brief summary of the citywide budget by strategic pillar as a point of reference. As you can see here, natural systems and water resource protection pillar is our largest pillar at 32%, consisting of all water and sewer funds. The next pillar is public health and public safety at 24%, including all police and fire citywide budgets, including their related grant and capital items, as well as all vehicle replacement budgets. The third largest pillar is financial sustainability and organizational excellence at 19%. This includes all internal service funds, many general government funds, and parking. The built environment pillar is at 15%, including gas tax, building permitting, HCD grant funds, and all non-public safety capital items. The arts and community engagement pillar is at 6%, including park and recreation, the waterfront, library, and art in public places. The climate and energy pillar is at 1%, including Curry Park redevelopment, seawall replacements, drainage improvements, and stormwater and flooding capital items. The equity and empowerment pillar is at 0.9%, including HR and the city attorney's office. And finally, our last pillar of education, economy, and jobs is at 0.1% for economic development and the Office of Small and Minority Business Programs. Let's shift back into reviewing the general fund in further detail. Our taxable value for fiscal year 2025 increased by 10.96%, up to $23.4 billion, Holding the proposed millage rate flat at 8.1308 resulted in $2.6 million of new tax revenue, reflected in the last row of the chart. Here you can see the general fund revenues by category, comparing the adopted fiscal year 2024 budget to the tentative fiscal year 2025 budget. This chart also displays the dollar and percentage change from fiscal year 2024 to fiscal year 2025. Let's review the draft general fund revenue highlights in the fiscal year 2025 tentative budget. As mentioned on the previous slide, property taxes increased by $12.6 million. Our license and permits increased by $1.5 million, mainly due to Florida Power and Light franchise fees increasing with new residents and new accounts throughout the city, as well as a minimal increase in our communications services tax. Intergovernmental revenues increased by $1 million from increases in state shared revenue, half-cent sales tax, and utility pilot increases. The largest increase was being from the half-cent sales tax. Charges for services increased $4 million, with increases in the household single-family garbage fee, the administrative fee, and engineering services fee. Our administrative fee was the largest increase in this category. Other taxes category increased by $1.5 million, mainly due to our utility taxes. Here are the general fund revenues by category, showing the largest category of property taxes at 52% of our overall general fund revenue, followed by charges for services at 18.2% and intergovernmental revenue at 11.8%. Moving on to the expenditures. Here you can see the general fund expenditures by category, comparing adopted fiscal year 2024 budget to the tentative 2025 budget. This chart also displays the dollar and percentage change from fiscal year 2024 to fiscal year 2025. The highlights of the general fund expenditures start with the personnel services category, increasing by $21.2 million, which is resulting from the health insurance increases, cost of living increases for non-public safety employees, public safety employee market adjustments, step pay, and pension contribution increases, as well as absorbing 31 public safety full-time equivalents that transitioned to being paid out of the general fund versus the respective COPS or Fire Safer grants. Continuing with the general fund expenditures, there was a $3 million increase in materials and services, with the largest increases coming from contractual services, mainly for athletic field maintenance, establishing contracts for marketing, and police technology contracts. We also saw increases in operational expenditures and utility services, as well as increases in fuel, medical services, equipment maintenance, and waste disposal. The general fund capital outlay increased by $300,000 for police vehicle replacements per the collective bargaining agreement. The general fund realized a $400,000 reduction in our debt service costs due to 2 notes being paid off during 2024. The transfers out of the general fund to other funds went down by $2 million as we shifted some of the funding for the annual road paving and vehicle replacement programs to our one-time funding program to accommodate budgetary needs for the public safety bargaining. In keeping with the strategic objectives of financial sustainability and good financial planning, new in the fiscal year 2025 budget is the addition of $1.3 million for an annual IT replacement program. I would also like to note that the fiscal year 2025 general fund budget includes an allocation of an additional $1 million to the annual road paving program for a 3rd year in a row, making sure that we are meeting our infrastructure needs. Additionally, for a 3rd year in a row, the city is allocating $8 million total with general fund funding and one-time funding towards our vehicle replacement plan. All of these initiatives are a testament to meeting our strategic pillar of financial sustainability and organizational excellence. Here is a view of the general fund expenditures from a different angle, showing that the majority of our expenditures, 69%, are in personnel services and benefits for the employees who provide the high-quality services to our residents. The next largest category is 18% for materials and services that assist us in providing the services to our community. This slide gives you a rundown of the fiscal year 2024 adopted budget compared to the fiscal year 2025 tentative budget by general fund department. The largest reduction noted on this slide is in general government. This is a result of our shift in this budget to utilizing the one-time funding process and shifting some of our transfers out of the annual adopted budget compared to fiscal year 2024. Now we'll look a little deeper at some of our larger departments, starting with the police department. The police department expenditure budget increased 15.2% or $12.7 million and brings in $3.7 million in revenues. While there were no new officers added this year, there are 15 that are now being fully funded out of the general fund. The fire department budget increased 16.6% or $8.1 million, and they bring in $6.8 million in revenues and also saw an increase in 16 full-time equivalents due to the grant transitions. The Department of Public Works budget increased 8.2% or $1.6 million and brings in $20 million in revenue. The department remained flat in terms of their number of employees. The Department of Parks and Recreation budget increased $1.2 million or 5.2% and brings just over $700,000 in revenue. With some staffing adjustments, Park and Recreation reduced their FTE count slightly by 1.75. This slide details all of the general fund personnel changes included in the fiscal year 2025 tentative budget. In the count change column, you can see the mayor's office added 2.5 positions utilizing other savings within the budget. Finance, police, and fire, the additional count change is all related to grant-funded positions moving into the general fund. Engineering reduced a position to fund pay grade changes during the mid-year review, and Parks and Recreation shifted a myriad of part-time and full-time positions to best suit their staffing needs presently, resulting in the FTE reduction. This slide shows our staffing changes in the other citywide funds. Any additions on this slide have a non-general fund dedicated revenue source to cover these additions to meet our operational and staffing needs. Here's the progression of our staffing levels citywide over the last 5 years. Now let's take a look at the citywide funds, those funds that are outside of the general fund, not including CRA and ECR. The combined special revenue funds have a total fiscal year 2025 tentative budget of $52 million, up 13% from fiscal year 2024. This is in large part due to increased gas tax and the creation of a new mobility and transportation fund. Special revenue funds include gas tax, housing and community development grant funds, building permitting, fire assessment fee, waterfront, and general grant programs. The combined debt service fund has a total fiscal year 2025 tentative budget of just over $2.6 million, a 24% increase due to increased annual bond payments. The combined capital funds have a total fiscal year 2025 tentative budget of $96 million, a decrease of 3% from fiscal year 2024. Capital projects include 1 cent sales tax, fleet replacement fund, IT replacement, capital and parks bond, and capital acquisition fund. These combined funds went down as we are seeing less budgeted in our American Rescue Plan Act funds as that program is winding down, as well as the 1 cent sales tax and parks bond are working on their current obligations right now. The combined enterprise funds have a total fiscal year 2025 tentative budget of $265 million, an increase of 11%. The enterprise funds include water and sewer, stormwater, and parking. A few projects include water main wastewater and lift station improvements, various stormwater improvements, and North Flagler Phase 1 project. The internal service funds have a total fiscal year 2025 tentative budget of $90 million, an increase of 8%. Internal service funds include fleet maintenance, IT, and our self-insurance funds. This brings us to a total citywide funds budget of $770,233,067, or an 8.3% increase over fiscal year 2024. A request was made at our not-to-exceed millage rate meeting in July that we bring forward again as a reminder, the fire assessment fee fund detail. So that is what you have here. On this detailed slide, you can see the proposed fiscal year 2025 fire assessment fee fund budget includes 15 full-time equivalent, materials and services of $3.8 million to cover travel, training, equipment maintenance, and bunker gear, as well as our uniforms. There's a portion of internal service charges allocated to this fund, and then our transfers out cover the debt service payment for the 2020 fire lease, as well as the list of one-time capital projects and vehicles that are listed on this slide, for a total budget of $9,066,651. In conclusion, the general fund fiscal year 2025 tentative budget is balanced at $264,019,397, including a tentative flat millage rate of 8.1308, and the tentative fiscal year 2025 citywide balanced budget, $770,233,067. We have the final public hearing to adopt the budget and millage rate on September 25th at 5:01 p.m., and then the fiscal year 2025 budget will go into effect on October 1st. Are there any questions?
Thank you very much for that presentation. Questions, commissioners, comments? President Ward?
If we haven't already gotten a copy of that presentation, could we please get it sent to us? I don't think I've seen it in my email. And then, actually, I don't know. I didn't have another. Thanks, that's it.
You sure? Okay. You asked for a copy, here it is.
I was writing.
Any other questions or comments? Commissioner Baduzzi.
Thank you for the presentation, and I think it's great to see what we've been able to do in all areas of the city in increasing salaries and providing those additional benefits to our employees who work so hard to keep things moving in the right direction here, and especially considering the increase in property values, which is fantastic. I would just hope that maybe by this time next year, if we still see those same increases in property values, that we consider, just a modest reduction in the millage rate. I think we just have to keep sight of that as something that's it is attainable, and it's something we should probably strive for. We did reduce it last year, so I don't necessarily think that we had to do that again this year. But if we're in a similar position next year, I think it would be great to look at trying to do that. And with that in mind, I was just wondering, and maybe we could have a discussion offline, or you can provide me with some of the data offline, but how does our millage rate compare with other municipalities? And we don't have to talk about that here necessarily, but if we do have a compiled list of other municipalities and where they are, just for general knowledge would be great for me, not really for this year, but maybe for next year. So thank you.
Actually, we reduced the millage rate 2 years in a row. Mm-hmm. And, but yeah, we will certainly keep an eye on that target. Commissioner Fox?
Thank you so much for all the work that's gone into getting us to this point. It's exciting to see the increases each year. I have a question about, it's on page 24, the slide 24, about the enterprise funds. I'm just looking at the increase year over year of 27 million. Seems like a pretty large amount for those dedicated funds. I'm just curious if you happen to know what led to that increase. Was it mostly in parking? Was it in one of the other areas? If there's any specifics that you happen to remember. Otherwise, if maybe you can share them later.
I know that our water and sewer have a very robust capital program as they are working to bring everything to completion and bring the projects and all of our infrastructure to where they want it to be. I do not have anything that is specifically focused on the breakout of that, but I can provide that to city administrator for further communication.
Great, thank you.
Commissioner Lambert?
Thank you so much for the presentation, as well as all of the work that has gone into this. I know it's nearly year-long process putting this together. And, you know, one of the things I wanted to comment on is just over the last 6-7 years that I've been a commissioner, it has been really great to see our budget evolve, and that we're more organized and efficient. And I feel like that puts us in a better place to be more responsive to residents and our stakeholders who are saying that in identifying the needs that we have in the city. And I think that our budget accurately reflects that. So I'm very grateful for that. I really appreciate this slide 6, the tentative budget by strategic pillars. And I was curious if we know, even anecdotally, if we haven't done this year over year, how this compares each year, and has, I would imagine the natural systems and water resource has grown recently, but I was just curious how this compares.
So this is our second year. We added that in last year's presentation, trying to, based off of resident feedback that we received technically 3 budgets ago, my first budget here, that, they want to see how the budget ties into the vision for the city. So we worked to put that together to be able to show you. So I know this is the second year. I don't have a lot of comparative data, but when I was redoing my notes for speaking, all of the categories were in the same order from the greatest to the least. So it still stayed fairly consistent in the portion of our overall budget allocated to each of those pillars in these 2 years.
Well, thank you for that, and I'm grateful that we're tying it back to our strategic plan and our vision for the city. I think that a lot of planning went into that, and so it's great to see this. Thank you.
I think another interesting thing to note is when you look at the personnel increases, we've had significant increases certainly in the budget size itself, but we have kept our personnel relatively stable between fiscal year 21 and fiscal year 25. I think it's only been a little bit about an 8% increase in the number of full-time employees that we have, which I think says something about the efficiency of the organization. Some might say that we're overworking our people, but I'd like to think it's the efficiency of the organization. So we haven't gone crazy with hiring. And I'm looking at slide 23. We haven't gone crazy with just doing a lot of hiring just for the sake of hiring. I think we've been very judicious in increasing the number of personnel. Commissioner Fox, did I see your hand up again?
Thank you so much. Last week in our meeting, we made some changes to the way impact fees will be collected going forward. I don't know if this is something that's already been discussed, but I'm just curious if that is going to be an enterprise fund of its own for next year, or if that's a general fund item, if you happen to know.
That's specific to mobility, or what type of impact fees? Okay, so we have set up a special revenue fund for mobility at this point. And so that part is included, not the impact fees specifically, but it's the vehicle where those impact fees will ultimately go. We knew in working with Assistant City Administrator Amando, we were able to get all of that information so that we could move the funding from the parking utility as well as the CRA into that new special revenue fund, and then the impact fees will also go into that same fund.
Great, thank you.
And against the desire of the city administrator, it will not go into the general fund.
I know that breaks your heart. Okay, any other questions or comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion. Motion.
Mayor, I move approval of resolution number 20724F, setting the tentative millage rate must be considered first, and resolution, wait,
Motion's right below.
oh, okay. You put something in bold, I'm going to read it. Okay, I move, I move approval of resolution number 20724F, adopting a tentative ad valorem millage rate of 8.1308 mils for general operating purposes, which is 3.19% more than the calculated rolled-back rate of 7.8796, and a millage rate of 0.0633 mils for general obligation debt service, for a total millage rate of 8.1941 mils.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign.
And if you'll hold for a roll call after this motion is complete, that would be great.
Oh, so we need to do roll call.
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. Madam Clerk.
President Ward,
Here.
Commissioner Warren,
Here.
Commissioner Fox.
Say aye.
It's your vote, yea or nay.
I'm here.
It's a roll call vote.
Yes, you got to vote yea or nay.
Roll call vote.
Roll call vote.
That could have been in the bold, by the way. Just throwing that out there.
Okay, we'll do it
We'll get
again.
better at this in our 3-4 budget seasons. Yeah.
President Ward, Commissioner Warren,
Aye.
Commissioner Fox,
Aye.
Commissioner Peduzzi,
Aye.
Commissioner Lambert.
Aye.
Thank you.
You're going to announce that the motion carries?
Oh, the motion carries unanimously, I'm sorry.
Okay, President Ward.
Okay. I move approval of resolution number 20824F, adopting a tentative budget for fiscal year 2024-2025.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Madam Clerk, can you call the roll, please?
President Ward,
Aye.
Commissioner Warren,
Aye.
Commissioner Fox,
Aye.
Commissioner Peduzzi,
Aye.
Commissioner Lambert.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion passes unanimously.
Fantastic, thank you. And that is the final item on this agenda. Congratulations, everyone. We have adopted a balanced budget, first reading, and this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.